During the Dragon Boat Festival, the rice for making zongzi suddenly turned golden, but Grandma excitedly said it was a blessing from the god of wealth. I tried to warn her out of concern, explaining that it was aflatoxin-contaminated rice and could be lethal if consumed. Dad scolded me for always saying the wrong thing and slapped me across the face. Left with no other choice, I secretly dumped the rice into the trash can. Seeing this, Grandma beat me harshly with a broom, scolding me for being ungrateful, saying I was the one who drove the god of wealth away. My parents agreed with Grandma, calling me a worthless burden while locking me in the pigsty. They kept beating me, yet their rage remained unquenched. To prove the golden rice wasn't poisonous, my parents forced the raw grains from the trash into my mouth, as my younger brother cheered them on. On that stormy night, I drew my last breath in the filthy, stinking pigsty. When I opened my eyes again, Grandma was eagerly wrapping golden rice dumplings. I watched expressionlessly as my family devoured the zongzi with hearty appetites. Welcome to Panda Storyboard. Put on your headphones, get cozy, and settle in. Let's enjoy this story together. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like. Now, let's begin. We're rich. Rich. The god of wealth has blessed our household. Grandma's excited voice reached my ears, making me instinctively look up at her bustling figure. I stared blankly as her deft hands swiftly wrapped the zongzi, the basin before her unmistakably filled with yellowed rice. Each grain seemed to glimmer with a golden radiance, yet it was laced with lethal poison. Suddenly, a heavy slap landed on the back of my head, accompanied by my mother's urgent voice. "Sophie, what are you just standing there for? Go start the fire already. We'll be boiling the zongzi soon." Snapping out of my daze, I glanced at my younger brother playing with mud in the yard, and my father sitting at the table, eagerly waiting to eat the zongzi. That's when it hit me. I had been reborn. Suppressing my inner excitement, I hurried to the kitchen to start the fire. Our home still had an old-fashioned earthen stove, which made lighting the fire quite a challenge, and my movements were a bit sluggish. Mom was behind me again, rattling off complaints about how lazy and useless I was. But when she saw the golden rice in the basin, her tone shifted to excitement. "If we eat these zongzi, our family is definitely going to strike it rich." Dad was lounging nearby with his legs crossed, urging us on. "Hurry up, you two. I'm waiting to eat this golden zongzi and head out for a few rounds of gambling. I've got a feeling today's my lucky day." His words carried a hint of greed and excitement, but when he turned and saw me, his expression soured. "Sophie, what's the holdup? Get that fire going and come help your mom and grandma." In the past, I would have quietly quickened my pace, but now I ignored those dissatisfied voices and deliberately worked at a snail's pace. Because no matter how hard I try, they're never satisfied. In this household, I'll always be an unwelcome presence. And what about my brother? Even when he misbehaves, Mom and Dad still praise him. Just then, with his mud-caked hands, he slapped them hard on Mom's legs. But Mom just laughed and said, "Oh, my son is so thoughtful. He even knows how to give me a massage." With a mischievous grin, he slapped even harder, over and over again. Mom gritted her teeth through the pain and said, all right. Our Arthur is so strong. We'll make sure to give him the biggest golden zongzi later." Hearing this, my younger brother clapped even more enthusiastically. Witnessing all this, I stayed silent and no longer offered the well-intentioned advice I had in my past life. This time around, if they're hell-bent on digging their own graves, let them. The zongzi were soon served, and Grandma peeled the first one for my father. "You're the backbone of this family. Have some more. These golden zongzi are considered lucky to eat." Then she peeled another zongzi and carefully fed it to my younger brother with chopsticks. I pretended to eye my brother's bowl of golden zongzi longingly and said, "Grandma, can I have a bite too?" Just as I expected, my little brother threw a tantrum over the food. "It's all mine. Don't give her any. Don't give any to that worthless girl." All right. It's all yours, Arthur," Grandma said, patting his back soothingly while shooting me a sharp glare. "Why did you have to provoke your brother? You're such a killjoy. Get out of here. Arthur won't eat properly with you around." Mom scolded, tapping my head with her chopsticks. "Go eat the cold leftovers in the kitchen. You don't get to have this golden zongzi." I pretended to be upset and walked away with my head down, but deep down, I was secretly pleased. If you enjoy these toxic rice dumplings, be my guest. I wouldn't touch them with a 10-foot pole. Alone. I crouched silently on the cold stone steps by the kitchen door, clutching a bowl of rice that had long gone cold. My gaze drifted involuntarily toward the dining table, where the family sat together in cheerful harmony, enjoying what they called golden zongzi. The aroma of the rice dumplings filled the air, tinged with a strange musty odor that they seemed completely oblivious to. Dad also poured a glass of realgar wine, slowly savoring it with the zongzi. Mom glanced back at me and said, "Look at you, drooling over the zongzi. Your eyes are practically glued to it. I'm telling you, these golden zongzi are a rare treat. You're not getting any." Grandma chimed in, her voice dripping with bias and resentment. "Exactly, a useless little girl who only knows how to spend money. Giving her any would just be a waste. Arthur should eat more, so he can grow up and make a fortune." Grandma said this as she fed another bite of zongzi to my younger brother. My brother ate with relish, a smug smile spreading across his face, as if it were all his due. Then she unwrapped another golden zongzi and gently placed it in Dad's bowl, her face full of tender affection. "You should eat too, son. Eat more. This family depends on you." Dad didn't refuse either. He picked up the zongzi and finished it in just a few bites. They made plenty of zongzi today, yet they wouldn't spare me a single bite. In this household, I'm nothing but an outsider. No wonder in my past life, just because I kindly threw out a pot of spoiled rice, they locked me in the pigsty and beat me mercilessly. They beat me until my nose and mouth bled crimson, blood streaming down my cheeks and staining my clothes, yet they still weren't satisfied. Their furious eyes burned with pure loathing and hatred as they forced uncooked, poisoned rice from the trash bin into my mouth, making me swallow those potentially lethal grains. "Sophie, you think you're so clever just because you can read a few words, spouting nonsense about the golden zongzi being poisoned and deadly. I think you just can't stand to see your old man succeed, you wretched brat. How dare you curse me, block my path to fortune, and bring me bad luck? I'll make you eat every last grain of this rice right now. We'll see if it kills you or not." Cursing under his breath, he called over my mom and grandma to force-feed me that bowl of raw rice down my throat. When I couldn't swallow it, they choked me by the neck to make me gulp it down. My younger brother clapped and cheered from the side. "So fun. This worthless girl looks like a dead dog. How hilarious. I want to play too." He said this while grabbing a handful of rice and shoving it into my mouth. Grains of rice were smeared all over my face, some even forced up my nostrils, making it hard to breathe. They didn't drag me into the pigsty until I'd blacked out, treating me like a dead pig. Now, watching them eat with such satisfaction, I felt no guilt, only cold indifference. They made their choice. They chose to ignore my warnings, chose to abuse me, chose greed over reason. Now, they'd face the consequences. Over the next few days, I watched and waited. Dad started feeling sick first, stomach cramps, dizziness, nausea. But he blamed it on the wine and kept eating the zongzi. Mom and Grandma soon followed, but they insisted it was just a summer bug going around. Only Arthur seemed fine at first. But that's because he'd eaten the most. His small body couldn't handle the toxin load. Within a week, he was bedridden, his face pale and gaunt. "Sophie," Mom screamed at me, "this is all your fault. You cursed this family. You brought bad luck." I said nothing, just continued my chores. I made them soup, brought them water, played the dutiful daughter and granddaughter, all while watching the poison slowly destroy them from within. Dad was the first to die. He collapsed in the gambling den, clutching his stomach, blood trickling from his mouth. The other gamblers thought he'd been poisoned by a rival. They never suspected the golden zongzi. When the news reached home, Mom wailed dramatically, but I saw the calculation in her eyes. Dad's death meant life insurance money, meant she could finally live the life she'd always wanted. She didn't mourn him. She mourned the loss of her meal ticket. Arthur was next. He died in his sleep, his little body finally giving out. Mom's screams that morning were genuine this time, not because she loved him, but because her precious son, her golden boy, was gone. Grandma lasted a bit longer. She was tougher, more resilient, but the poison was relentless. She grew weaker each day, her skin yellowing, her eyes glazing over. One night, she called me to her bedside. "Sophie," she whispered, her voice raspy. "The rice. It was really poisoned, wasn't it?" I looked at her. This woman who'd beaten me, starved me, called me worthless my entire life. "Yes, Grandma, it was." She nodded slowly. I should have listened to you. Yes, I said. You should have. She died the next morning, and I felt nothing. No sadness, no relief, just emptiness. Mom survived. Of all of them, she'd eaten the least. She'd been too busy serving everyone else, too busy scheming and planning. When she realized what had happened, when the doctors finally diagnosed aflatoxin poisoning, she looked at me with dawning horror. You knew, she whispered. You knew and you didn't stop us. I tried, I said calmly. You wouldn't listen. You beat me for trying. Her face contorted with rage. You killed them. You killed your own family. No, I replied. You killed them. Your greed, your stupidity, your cruelty. I just didn't save you from yourselves. She lunged at me then, her hands reaching for my throat. But she was weak, sick, and I easily pushed her away. She collapsed on the floor, sobbing. Why? She wailed. Why didn't you try harder to stop us? I looked down at her, this woman who'd given birth to me but never loved me. Because in my past life, when I tried to save you, you killed me for it. You force-fed me that poisoned rice, beat me, locked me in a pigsty to die. So this time, I decided to let you make your own choices. Her eyes widened in shock. Past life? You're insane. I'm done, I interrupted. I'm done being your punching bag, your scapegoat, your worthless burden. From now on, I'm living for myself. But Mom wasn't finished. In the weeks that followed, as she recovered from the poisoning, her hatred for me only grew. She blamed me for everything. For Dad's death, for Arthur's death, for Grandma's death. In her twisted mind, I was the villain, not her. One day, she made turtle soup. It was my favorite as a child, the only dish she'd ever made that she'd let me eat. She served it to me with a smile. Eat, Sophie, you must be hungry. I looked at the bowl, then at her. Her smile was too wide, too eager. I remembered this moment from my past life. She'd tried to poison me then too. Tried to finish what she'd started. No, thank you, I said, pushing the bowl away. Her smile faltered. What? Why not? I made it special for you. I'm not hungry. Eat it, she screamed, grabbing the bowl and trying to force it on me. I stood up, knocking the bowl from her hands. It shuddered on the floor, hot soup splashing everywhere. That night, I heard her sneaking into my room. I pretended to be asleep, watching through barely open eyes as she approached my bed with a pillow in her hands. I waited until she was close enough, then I moved. I grabbed her wrist, twisted it, and she dropped the pillow with a yelp. What are you doing? I demanded. You need to die, she shrieked. You ruined everything. My husband, my son, my mother, all dead because of you. I stared at her, this woman consumed by hatred and madness. You're right about one thing, I said quietly. I should have died, but I didn't, and now I'm going to live, whether you like it or not. I shoved her away and ran. I ran from that house, from that village, from that life. I ran until I reached the police station in town, gasping and sobbing. My mother tried to kill me, I told the officer, and I have proof. The surveillance camera I'd hidden in the kitchen had captured everything. Mom adding pesticide to Grandma's medicine, Mom preparing the poisoned soup for me, Mom sneaking into my room with the pillow. The evidence was irrefutable. They arrested her that day. She screamed and fought, insisting she was the victim, that I was the monster. At her trial, she was sentenced to life in prison for murder. I went to see her one last time before she was transferred. I hope you rot in there, I said through the glass partition. She glared at me with pure venom. You damned good-for-nothing. I regret ever giving birth to you. You've ruined my life, and I will never forgive you. Good, I said, because I already forgave myself. I left that prison and never looked back. I sold the family home, took the money, and enrolled in school. I studied hard, worked hard, built a life for myself. Years later, I graduated with honors. I got a good job, made real friends, found people who valued me for who I was, not what I could do for them. Sometimes I think about that Dragon Boat Festival, about the golden rice, about the choice I made to let them eat it. Do I feel guilty? No. They made their choices, just as I made mine. They chose greed over caution. They chose cruelty over kindness. They chose to abuse me rather than listen to me. As for me, I chose to survive. I chose to thrive. I chose to become someone they said I'd never be. Someone worthy, someone valued, someone loved. And that's the best revenge of all.